So good morning, boys and girls. I want to invite you to gather around if you're not already, because I'd like to tell you a story. And the story I'd like to tell you is about a little girl named Emily. Now, Emily had been stuck inside. It was a fairly rainy morning, and she was getting pretty bored. So, as it became a little bit clearer and even sunny outside in the afternoon, she twisted her dad's arm to go outside with her. And so off they went to the playground. And as they got there, there were a couple other little girls who were playing on the playground, and they were climbing up some of the equipment. There were some climbing walls there. And Emily's dad said, "Oh, Emily, can you do that?" Well, usually Emily went to the playground with Mom and not Dad. So maybe Dad didn't quite know, but Emily wasn't so good at climbing. Emily knew that. But her dad wondered if she could do it. So she tried. She went over to the wall and she started climbing her way up, but her hand slipped off and she just couldn't do it. Well, as she came off the climbing wall, she realized that these other two girls had run off and were now running around the equipment. So she tried to run after them, but gosh, they were really fast. And she couldn't quite keep up. And next they jumped onto the monkey bars, and they were swinging gracefully one to the other, all the way from one end to the next. And so Emily tried to follow them there too. She climbed up the ladder, grabbed the first rung of the monkey bars, swung over to the second, and just missed it and fell and skinned her knee on the ground. Well, she had a few tears, and her dad came over and said, "Emily, what's going on? You're kind of forcing yourself into this in a bit of a strange way." And Emily, of course, first they had attended to her knee. But Emily said, "Dad, you wanted me to try to climb this wall to be like these other girls. And so I was trying to prove to you that I could climb just as good as they could, and that I can run just as fast as they can, and that I can swing on the monkey bars just as good as they can. But I can't do it." Her dad looked at her and said, "Emily, I'm not worried about how good you can climb or run or hang and swing on the monkey bars. You're my daughter. I love you. I'm not comparing you to those other girls. When we leave here, we're going back home, and we'll have a cup of hot chocolate or some juice and a snack. You're already my daughter. These other girls could never compare to you because I love you and you're mine." Boys and girls, we can sometimes forget that God loves us. Now, there's nothing that we have to do to impress God or to prove ourselves to God, because we're already His children. Each of you and each of our parents too. And so remember that. As we enter into this service, we'll talk more about that in the sermon. But remember, you don't have to prove anything to God. He loves you because of Jesus. Thanks be to God.